So welcome to our presentation for our Food4Kids menu management tool. So before I get into the actual project, here's a quick rundown of the team members. So firstly, we have myself. I was the backend developer as well as the project manager for this project. Then we had Linzin, who was the backend developer. Then we had George and Vikram, who were working on the front end development. And finally, we had Han, who was the researcher for our project. So here's a table of contents. Firstly, we'll be talking about the project, and then we'll be going over our solution and how we approached sort of to solve this problem statement. And then we'll be moving on to giving you a demo of the front end or the website. And then finally, we'll be explaining how the back end actually works. So about the project, there are two main parts, really. There's the information required in the final deliverable. So this was the food items that would be used in the menus, and then finally the actual menus themselves. And finally, you also needed a website to allow the creation and editing of this content in order to create, edit, and delete items, as well as edit menus. And our solution to this was to create a database using SQL and PHP. And finally, we also made a front-end website that allows you to access this database and add items and edit your menus using a combination of HTML and CSS with some JavaScript. So now we're going to give you a quick demo of the front end. All right, so here you can see that we are on the home page of the website, and this page basically gives you an overview of what the website can actually do. So it basically gives a basic explanation of what each page is for. So we have the menu creator, which is where you can go in and actually create your menus using items stored in the database. Then we have an item editor, which is essentially allows you to edit your items, create new items, or delete existing items in case you want to curate your database. And finally, there's a menu display. This is basically a very simplistic view for your menus that you can provide to, for example, post on your website to provide them to the kids that are going to pick up these menus. And it shows the menus in sort of a very simple, minimalistic fashion. So firstly, we'll be showing you the functionality for the item editor. So here you can see that we have a list of all the items currently stored in our database. Now we've added some of the items that we were given as well as added some extra ones on top. And with each item, you can see its name and there's an option to edit or delete it. Currently, we have around 60 or 70 items and you can add as many as you want. So that's what we'll be showing first. We'll be adding an item to the database. So if you click the add new button, you can go ahead and you get a sort of pop-up with the page that allows you to add an item. And currently an item that we have that we can add right now is applesauce. So for example, we can type in the name applesauce, and then applesauce has 50 calories. It has a 0.3 grams of protein. It has 0% iron, 0% calcium, sorry. Yeah, 0% calcium, 0% iron, 0% vitamin A, 0% vitamin C. It has 14 grams of carbohydrates, 0 sodium. It has 11 grams of sugar, no fat, and the cost is 66 cents. So you could type in 0.66, and obviously it's measured in Canadian dollars. And then over here, we also have an option to input how much stock of the item you have to allow for inventory management. So you can at any given point in time, keep track of how much of a certain item you have. So for now, we can just put in 50 as an example. Obviously, you could enter any number you wanted realistically. And here at the bottom, we have some checkboxes, which basically keep track of certain like special labels of the item. So for example, applesauce is indeed nut-free. So you can check off nut-free. It's also vegetarian, so you can check that off, and it's also halal. And then you can click update, and this basically adds this new item to the database. And now if we go back to the item editor, you will see that if you can go use our search bar and search applesauce, and the item will pop up. So if there's any items with that name in it, it will pop up, and you can click edit to view its characteristics. And for example, I forgot to add the checkbox of baby to applesauce, right? Because applesauce can be consumed by babies. So you can go ahead and check that off, and you can click update, and there we go. That item has now been updated successfully. Now, let's say we wanted to edit an existing item in our database. It's very simple. Just search the item name. So for example, let's say I want to update the cedar canned chickpeas. I can search it, and we see that it pops up. I can click edit. Now, let's say the price for this item changes from $1.99 to $1.97. I can input the new price into the database and simply click update. And now the price of this item will be updated. If we go ahead and search it once again and click edit, you'll notice that the price has indeed been changed to $1.97. And now let's say we want to delete an item. Let's say there's an item that's just not feasible to keep in the menu anymore, or for any other perceivable reason, you just don't want to keep it because it's cluttering up your database. You can go ahead and search for that item. So in this example, we can delete canned swan. And you can click delete. And this will essentially remove it from the database. And now if you try to search for it, it won't be there. It'll say no results found. So that's basically a demo of the item editor. As you can see, you can add items, edit existing items, and delete items. So that's all the core functionalities existing in one main menu. Now we can move on to quickly showing the menu display. So here, this is a sort of minimalistic view of all your menus with the items in each one. Currently, you can see some of them are empty, and that's because we're actually going to be populating them right now to show the functionality of the website. So we'll be actually filling in the halal menu and editing the baby menu. So for that, we can go to the menu creator. Here, you can essentially see a sort of very in-depth breakdown of all your menus and their statistics. So let's say we want to edit a menu. We can go click on the halal menu and then click open. This will open the halal menu. And currently, as you can see, it's empty because we haven't put anything in it. Now we have this pre-made menu that we made before this meeting, and we're just going to go ahead and input it. And you'll see that once we input it and click update, all the items will pop up. So we have the cedar canned chickpeas, we have the Campbell's tomato soup, we have white pita bread, we have Quaker's instant oatmeal, we have Ozuri mini rounds, we have wow butter, we have kind protein bars, we have oatmeal cookies, we have some goldfish, we have applesauce, and as you can see, we just added applesauce and it's here, so you can actually add it now. We can add cereal, milk to go, apples, bananas, and peppers. As you can see, you can use this as a search bar as well, each of these forms, and you can add finally zucchini. And now let's say that's all the items I want to add to the menu. I can scroll to the bottom and click update. And now if I open up the halal menu, you will notice that all of these items will indeed be stored in this table. And for each item, you can see its calorie count, its protein, etc. We've even included the cost as well. And if you scroll down to the very bottom, there's a column that shows the total statistics. So here you can check to see if any of the food items match sort of, if your entire menu matches the food requirements, if it matches the total number of calories, total protein, and then you can curate your menu further and try to get the right balance of all these values. And now another functionality we've included here is inventory management. So let's say you actually want to now distribute these bags, right? You can enter the number of bags you wish to distribute, and then it will show you how much of each more item you need to purchase in order to distribute this bag. So let's say I want to input my number of bags, right? I can go and choose the menu I want to distribute and enter in the number of bags. Let's say we choose to do 65 bags for now and click open. Now you will notice that for all of them, it's telling you you need 15 more of that item, because in each one we have stored the stock you currently have. And this stock can be any value that you input. And this will show you how much of each item you need to purchase, so you can actually purchase the correct amount and be able to serve your bags and readily deliver them to the kids who are in need of them. And for example, if I enter, let's say 35 as my number of bags, you'll notice that it tells you that you don't need any, actually don't need to purchase any more, and that you're ready to go. Now, let's say that you actually want to distribute this bag. In order to prevent the fact that you would have to go in and edit the stock of each one, we've added a clear stock button. If you scroll down and click clear stock, what it will do is subtract this 35 from all of those items, which means you essentially distributed it. And if we go to the item editor, you'll notice that this change is indeed reflected. If we go over and choose any one of the items on the menu, I believe Setter canned chickpeas was one of them, and click edit, you'll notice that the stock has been reduced to 15 because 50 minus 35 is indeed 15. Now we can go back and show how it would work to actually edit an existing menu. So let's say we want to edit the baby menu, right? And by the way, all these 4 menus are like separate. So you could edit the no restrictions menu, you could edit the halal and the vegetarian, and they would be stored as separate menus in the database. And you could keep those saved across multiple days as long as you don't re-edit them, right? And we've also included another menu in case you need a 5th menu to sort of experiment. Now let's open the baby menu, and Now let's say we want to update the popcorn because I don't know, maybe popcorn not suitable for babies. So let's say you would go into that, choose the drop-down menu, and then let's say we want to change it to kiwi. We could enter in kiwi, and that's an item in our database. And now that's going to be added. And let's say we also want to add applesauce to the baby menu as well. And you can honestly put in any field. It will add it to the database regardless. So let's say I skip one by accident, it won't cause any issues in the actual website. Now let's click update. And you will notice that if we open the baby menu, these items have indeed been updated. If you scroll down, you'll see the applesauce and kiwi are now in the menu. Now, finally, we're going to go to the menu display to show the updated menus. And you'll notice that the halal menu now has all of the items and the baby menu is updated to show the kiwi and the applesauce. And this essentially is just to show the kids. You could take a screenshot of this, post it somewhere so they can see what is on offer. And also just for yourself, kind of, it's good to have a very minimalistic view of just the items themselves rather than all of the other additional statistics. So that concludes the demo of the front end. I will share the slideshow.
Oh.
All right, so now we're going to discuss the basic functionality of how the backend and the database actually functions. So essentially all we have is, you can envision that the food items is kind of like a box, and you have all of your menu items. So those food items stored in that box, and each one has sort of a label with all of its information. Now, whenever you create a menu, all you're doing is you're sort of going through that food item spots and choosing those items. And then the menu just remembers the data points of those objects and stores them and gets a total sort of column for you as well. And the food items key is essentially a layer that allows the menus, that table, to interface with the food items one. And now you must be wondering, why should you choose our solution? And now there are many benefits that it brings. Firstly, there are server-side benefits. So we have a very efficient and organized database, as you saw, and there's also full-scale linking between the database and the website using a layer of PHP, giving you real-time control over everything in the database. And as you saw, the website was also very bright, clean, and simple to navigate. And there's also a search bar available, so you don't have to spend extra time scrolling through all of the items. There's also full add drop edit capacity for items and full menu editing capacity, as you saw. And there's also a formal menu display page if you need that simplistic view. And finally, the best part is that you would never have to touch a single line of code because you can edit the database straight through the website itself. And now, as for the implementation, currently it's a zero cost implementation because it's local hosted on a computer. So if this website doesn't need to be put on the cloud because it would only be used by the administration staff of the Food4Kids organization, you could keep it local hosted on your computer, and therefore it'd be a zero cost implementation. However, in the future, if we were to make this more available and we wanted to deploy the application on the cloud, you could enlist the help of some sort of cloud hosting service. And that would be relatively minimal effort because you'd be able to deploy our code files onto the server itself, and they would run as well as they're running currently on our local host system. Thank you very much for listening.